All right, so you need to take out a piece of paper. This is the review that I would be doing with you if I was at school. This is the PowerPoint we would do. And yes, we would throw axes, so I owe you an axe game. So here's the deal on this. This review is only going to be as useful as you make it. So you need to take out a piece of paper. You need to work these problems and hit pause, okay? And then undo it and see how you did. So hit pause right now. Pause. All right. So this would be what the no calculator part of the test. I know I'm gone, so I'm not kidding. I am giving you the test. So you're going to have to be able to find logs and LNs without a calculator, which means, like, if you look at this one, we know 5 to the third is 125. So that means that my answer to this is 3. You obviously did not need to do all that work. I'm just trying to show you if it's on the no calculator part, it's because you should be able to do it. So 2 to the 16th, 2 squared is 4, cubed is 8, 16, so it's 4. But it's been flipped, so my answer is a negative 4. Okay, can you log a negative number? No, this is a no solution. 0 with a line through it means an empty set. It's the empty set, you can't do this problem. It's undefined. So you've got to write something like that. Okay, I give you a guarantee there will be one like that on the test that shows me you understand that you can't log negative numbers. The next one, there's going to be one like this on the test. There was one like this on the one you did on Friday. I know I don't expect you to be able to do this except the fact that if you know your properties and you pull this out in front, you have the ln of e. Well, what is the exponent on e that would give you e? It's 1, so my answer is 5. Okay, and this one I'm not grading you on your work. It's no calculator, so if you can do them in your head, that's fine. Then next one, what's the base? If it doesn't have a base, my base is 10. So the exponent on 10 that gives me 10 is 1. Now the last one is tricky, and there is one like this on the test. And I feel like kids blow a lot of time on this question because it doesn't really necessarily come right to their head. If it doesn't just pop in your head and the answer, like on number 1, like that popped in your head, the answer was 3. Okay, this one is like, I got to do some thinking. It's going to be some fraction. It's going to be some negative sign because 27 and 9 aren't the same. So if I were you, I would rewrite this in exponential form and then go back to what we did that first day where you wrote it with the same bases. Wouldn't this be 3 to the negative 2? And so now my bases are the same, and so I'd have 3x equals a negative 2, so my answer is a negative 2/3. There is also one like this on the test. So you might want to really look through that and make sure you understand. We did several during homework as well. So if it doesn't jump off the page like number 5 and slap you in the face, I would rewrite it in exponential form and write it with the same bases. Oh, there's the answer. So maybe I should do that and then you can fast forward. Yep, okay. This is also without a calculator. Okay, so hit pause and do it, and then I'll show you the answers, and then you can fast forward to the next ones if you get them right. I didn't realize the answers were there. Pause. Okay, the answer on number 7 is negative 2. The answer on number 8 is a negative 1/3. So if you got those right, you can fast forward through my talking and go to the next ones. But if you didn't, I'm going to work through them. So this is 2x plus 1. So now my bases are the same. So I'd subtract 1 and divide by 2, and that is my answer. And then on this one, I would rewrite with the same bases. And so 3x plus 4 equals 3. Subtract 4 and divide by negative 3. I said the right thing. I just said the wrong thing, did the right thing. So, all right. So these are your next ones. This one, I think it's really hard on the test. This is usually the one on the no calculator part kids do the worst on because when you were doing them in homework, you forgot one tiny step. And so I had to take off a point. Other than that, I think the no calculator part is fairly easy if you've been doing your homework. Okay, so when they want you to expand, they want you to take this inside part and they want you to expand it out into what it should have been before you combined it and condensed it all together. So that's a multiplication problem. So that's going to be the log base 5 of 30 plus the log base 5 of c cubed plus the log base 5 of x cubed. Okay, now if you look at this, you can't have exponents in there if you want to expand it completely. So your final answer okay, so if you, I'm going to show you the answer for 10 because then you can fast forward it, but I wanted to make sure I went over that with you. So if you got it right, you didn't like just guess at it. So that is the only answer for number 10. So this is 9 and 10. Good job, PowerPoint. 9 and 10. And that is the only answer for 10 that I would accept. That is how it has to look. So let me work through it. If you got it right, you can fast forward to the next ones. So since it's a division problem, you would split it up like this. And then because of this 3, you would have the log base 3 of 52 minus 3 log base 3 of y. Okay? Now, and this is the no calculator. So like if you can jump to that final answer, that's fine with me. All right. So without a calculator, approximate these. And I kind of did this. I did quite a few of them because again, I think this was the day Mr. Brewer was here, and I think that was confusing. So if I know the log base 2 of 3, don't I also know the log base 2 of 9? Because that's going to be that doubled, which is 3.2. I would know the log base 3 of 27, and so on. And if I know the log base 2 of 5, don't I know the log base 2 of 25, and so on. But I also know, just by common sense, the log base 2 of 2. I know the log base 2 of 4. I know the log base 2 of 8, and so on. Okay, so I would like you to pause and try these. I'm going to show the answer first so you can go back and look at any of the ones that you missed. Pause. All right, here are the answers. Oh, I got the right numbers. That's nice. Okay. So there's the answers. If you got them all, good job, congratulations. If you did not, I'm gonna come back up here and work through it. Well, we did this first one by writing what we knew. So this is 4.6, that one should have been easy. 15, can't you rewrite that as 3 times 5? So that's the log base 2 of 3 plus the log base 2 of 5. So that's 1.6 plus 2.3, so that's 3.9. And on the next one, I'm subtracting them. So I would have the log base 2 of 5 minus the log base 2 of 3, because it's a division. So that's 2.3 minus 1.6, which ends up being 0.7. 75 that one was a little tougher, but 25. That's what I would have used. But some of you out there might have done 15 and 5 because you also know that one too. For some reason, my mind saw 25 times 3 first. And so this would have been 25 is 4.6. 3 is 1.6. Sorry, I almost wrote the wrong thing. So that's 6.2. Okay. The log base 5 of 10, now you have to use the ones we know. Wouldn't that be the log base 5 of 5 times 2? So you know the log base 5 of 5 plus the log base 5 of 2. So your answer on that is 1 plus, did I write those backwards? That's what happens when it's like 6 in the morning. Sorry. I did. My brain went backwards. I'm a math teacher that's dyslexic with numbers. It's great. There we go. 2.3 plus 1 is 3.3. And then finally 24, that's one you kind of have to think about. But I would probably, the first thing that came to my mind, I wouldn't use 6 and 4 because I don't see 6 anywhere. I do see the 4, but I do see 8 and 3. The log base 2 of 8 times 3, so that's the log base 2 of 8 plus the log base 2 of 3. So that is 3 plus, 1.6. All right, so there's your answer. All right. Okay, this is without a calculator. This is not without a calculator. This is with a calculator. So on this part of the test, you are going to be asked to solve with a calculator. The only one that you have to check is this one because this is the only one that has a log in the original question. Anything can be exponential. So on 18 and 19, you can get fractions, you can get decimals, you can get negatives. It's an exponent. But on 17, that x value has to be positive. Okay, this is with a calculator, but I will tell you right now, I will be checking your algebra. So it will take me a little bit longer to grade because I will be checking your algebra. So make sure you show it. So go ahead and pause. I will show you the answers, and then I will work through them so you can see them. So my answers were 100 and negative 0.593 and 0.916. All right, so if I do this first question, if you missed it, so I would divide by the 2 first, and so that's 2. So x would equal 10 squared, and so my answer is x equals 100. Okay, you could have put that in as a squared and then done 10 to the 4th and square rooted it. And then so there's another way of doing it, but my simplified mind, I would have moved that 2 and made that number smaller. Okay, on 18, I would have added the 4, so I'd get 34 equals 7 to x plus 3. Then I would write this in a log base 7 of 34 equals 2x plus 3. Hold on, I need to open a new one. What is it? Log base 7 of 34. $1.8122. 1.8122 equals 2x plus 3. So I'm now going to go to Desmos just to finish this up. So I'm going to minus 3, and then I'm going to take that and divide by 2. And just get that final answer. So negative 0.594. Which is what we got for an answer. Oh, I got 3. I must not be able to round. Let me see if I rounded wrong. No, that should have been a 4. Okay, so if you got negative 0.594, good job. All right, so then on the next one, I would subtract the 10 first. And I don't have to check this blue answer. It has to be right because it's an exponent, okay? So 4e to the x equals 10. And then I would divide by that. So 10 divided by 4, that's 5 halves or 2.5. My x is in the exponent, so I'm going to do the ln of 5 halves equals x. And I need to get my phone out because Desmos doesn't do ln's, which is glorious. So the ln of that is 0.9163. So x equals 0.9163. I do believe on the test that it does say round 4 decimal places. I'm not sure why I put 3 on the answers, but there you go. All right. So on these ones, this would all be on the calculator part, but I'm checking your algebra. So I'll give you some time to do them, but I want to make sure everybody understands. This is the only one you have to check because you can't ln a negative number. So whatever you get for an answer has to make sure that keeps it positive. Okay, so the other 2 you don't have to check because they could be anything. So if you get 2 answers, then those both work because on 2 and 3. okay? So pause this. This is kind of a doozy, these questions. So I'm going to give you the answers. Pause. If you haven't paused, I need you to pause because these are going to be the ones that are worth the most on the test. If you have, here are the answers. X is greater than 27.299. Number 2, the answer is 1 and a -1. That one has 2 answers. And then on the last one, X is greater than 3.17. Okay, so if I look at this number 1, if you didn't get that answer, first off, I know that my X has to be greater than 0 because of, if I do 2x equals 0, so it's got to be greater than 0. So now I'm going to solve that problem. So I'm personally going to divide by 7 first to make my life easier because that makes this a smaller number. Oops. Okay, and then wherever the x is where the x stays. So this ends up being e to the 4th. So I'm just going to use my calculator on my phone so I don't have to go back and forth to Desmos because e is weird on there. So I'm going to do e to the 4th. I got to find the right key. Come on. So that is e to the 4th is 54 point, that is x equals 54.5, that's a 54.5982. And then I'm going to take that answer and divide by 2. And so that's where I got x is greater than 27.299. And so that's already up here. So that didn't matter, but this is one of those that could have mattered. Okay, on the next one, I'm going to write this in exponential form, or sorry, log form, because it's in the exponent. So I would have the log base 12 of 144 equals x squared plus 1. Honestly, I could put this one on the no calculator, because you should know the log base 12 of 144, it's 2. And then I'm going to minus the 1. And square root. I can do this because it doesn't have an x. That has 2 answers, plus and minus 1, and they both work. So, all right. On the last one, this was kind of from the other day. I did this. This is kind of make or break. I would practice these. They're in your homework from the one you did Thursday, the common log one. I would practice these. This is what you're going to need for your science classes. You can log base 10, you can log base 6, you can log, I would personally on this, log base 3. And if you're wondering why I didn't make a number line, this doesn't matter. It doesn't have a log to begin with. So now this would be x plus 2, because you're pulling that out in front, times the log base 3 of 3, which just comes out as x plus 2. This side ends up being x times the log base 3 of 6. So now I got to go to Desmos because that's easier on Desmos. The log base, I believe it was 3 of 6, but I better check. The log base 3 of 6, so the log base 3 of 6 is 1.6309. So that is 1.6309. And then you're going to take that thing and you're going to minus 2. And so you get a negative 3.3601. What did I get? 0.3691. Okay, and if I look, that is not what I got for an answer. What did I do wrong? Log base 3 of 6. That's right. I don't agree with that answer. Okay, so if I put that back in, 3 to the, I'm just going to put it in here. 3 to the, and I got the answer, negative 0.3691 plus 2. Nope, stay up top there. Son of a gun. Okay, I got that answer. And then if I do 6 to the negative 0.3691, I don't get the same answer. I gotta look and see what I did wrong. This is just what I need this morning. So log base 3 of 3 is 2. It's probably something, oh, I lost my x, guys. Why don't you yell at me? Okay, good morning to me. So I'm gonna minus x, because I'm not dumb. And you get 0.6309x, and then I divide by 0.6309. I am sorry, see, it's easy to make mistakes. 2 divided by 0.6309, I'm gonna use my calculator on my phone, is 3.17. Good morning to me. All right, okay. Without a calculator, you're gonna do these two, and then I will show you the answers, and I will go over them if you need them, and hopefully not make a mistake. So pause. Okay, here are, oops, those answers. Yep, number 23, the answer is 6. And number 24, it does come out to negative 22/8, but it doesn't work. So that one has no solution. So my extraneous solution is a negative 22/8, okay? So let's look at 23. I would put those together by multiplication. So that's going to be x squared minus 4x equals the log base 3 of 12. Those cancel, and I have an x squared and an x and a number. So I'm gonna have to get them on one side, and I'm gonna hope they factor, which they do, x minus 6 and x plus 2. So one of my answers is 6, one of my answers is a negative 2. The negative 2 doesn't work because if you put it in the first set of parentheses, or even in the first log or the second, it's not gonna work. So my only answer is 6, okay? So when I'm grading that, I'm going to be looking for that extraneous answer, and I want it crossed off or labeled as extraneous. Okay, on the next one, you get the log base 3 of x minus 4 over x plus 2. Now, you can't move that to the other side. Some of you are like, well, we'll move it to the other side. Well, you can't because it doesn't have a log on the other side. You're going to have to write this in exponential, right? 3 squared. And 3 squared is 9. So now I times both sides by x plus 2. Cancel, cancel. So x minus 4 equals 9x plus 18. So if I minus the x, I get 8x. If I minus the 18, I get a negative 22. So my answer is a negative 22/8. But if I put that back into like this one right here, I don't even know what that is, but I know it's a negative minus a number. That's going to stay negative, and you can't like log negative. So this one actually is no solution, because the negative 22/8 is extraneous. So I have to see that your answer got to a negative 22/8, and then that you've written no solution. So you've got to show your algebra, okay? All right, graph this, state the domain and range. You are gonna have to state points, and this is going to be on the no calculator. Pause and do this. All right, so I would start with 0, and I would put in 1, and I would put in a negative 1. If I put in 0, my answer is 6, so I have a point at 0, 6. If I put in 1, my answer is 3, so I have a point at 1, 3. This has a asymptote at the axis, and if I put in a negative 1, my answer is 12, which is off the page, which is okay. So it's gonna come in and go down like this. The 6 makes it really wide. The 1/2 makes it decreasing. My domain is a negative infinity to infinity, and my range is 0 with parentheses to infinity. Okay? All right, so on this one, it wants you to state the domain and range and graph, so you need 3 points. I would always start by finding what makes the inside 1, because if you find what makes the inside 1, that becomes the log base 3 of 1, which is 0. So 2 times 0 minus 1 is going to be a negative 1. So you have a point at a negative 1, negative 1. This has an asymptote at a negative 2. That might be good to put in there. Okay, I want to find what makes the inside the base, and the base is 3, so I'm going to put in a 1, because then I get a log base 3 of 3, which is 1, so 2 minus 1 is 1, so I have a point at 1, 1. And then I want to know what makes the inside 1/3, which would be a negative 1 and 2/3, because then that would be a negative 1, so you'd have a negative 2 minus 1, which is a negative 3, so at a negative 1 and 2/3, you're at a negative 3. So your domain is a negative 2 to infinity, and your range is a negative infinity to infinity. Okay, so here is an example of a story problem question, and I believe the answers are there, so I would like you to pause and do the story problem. Hopefully you haven't paused, but it will tell you, because I think some of you get confused now that we've learned E. If it doesn't tell you to use E, then you're just going to do what we did on our project and do 1 plus. You don't have to use an E unless it's telling you continuous. Okay, if it doesn't say continuous, and I'm gonna write the problem just like this, so there's no question that you need an E. Okay, so there's your answer. And so if you got it, you can move along. If you didn't, I'm gonna go back and work it. Okay, so to write the equation, you would say A equals, my initial value is 30, E to the 0.32t. How long will it take until there are 900 bacteria in the dish? So if I come here and I put 900 here, I would divide by 30. So that's going to be 30. My variable is in the exponent, so I'm going to do the ln of 30 equals 0.32t, and I'm going to divide by 0.32. And that's going to give me my time. And so I'm going to use my calculator on my phone. So I'm going to do the ln of 30, and then I'm going to divide by 0.32, and I get 10.63. Okay. All right, the next one says how many bacteria are there? Oh, wait. That's hours. Sorry, not years, because this is an hour. After 30 hours. So on that one, I'm looking for my hours, so I'm just going to put that in for the time. So I'm going to do this on my calculator. I can't do it on my calculator. It's being weird. So that if you type that into your calculator, you should get 442,000. I might have just gotten that, but I thought it was too big. 442,943 bacteria. Okay. And then what is the doubling time of the bacteria? So we did doubling time on your project. It started with 30. So that means we're trying to find out how many hours it takes to get to 60. So I divide by 30. And so then I'm going to do the ln of 2 equals 0.32t. And I'm going to divide by 0.32. And I'm not going to try to work my technology that isn't working. And my answer was 2.2 hours. So every 2.2 hours, it's going to double. Okay? All right, so take a look at this one and read it, and then I'm going to talk about it, so don't pause. I'm going to give you a second to read it. Okay, and you hopefully just read the first paragraph. You can read the whole thing. Anywhere in there did you see the word continuous? It just said an exponential relationship. So this is what we did in our project. Okay, I'm giving you 2 points. She starts at 88.7, and after 6 clicks, she's at 92.9. So I would have 0, 88.7, and I would have 6, 92.9. Okay, you're going to be able to find that in the equation. So I want you to write an exponential model. It doesn't say anything about it being as an E. And then I want you to do the next part. So I would like you to pause, and then I will show you the answers. So my growth rate is 1.0077, or my growth factor. And the answer for the second one is 23 clicks. Because if you've ever dealt with one of those old radios, you can't do like part of a click. Okay, so if you look at this to find this, I'm going to do what we did on our project. So we know that it starts at 88.7, and we know 1 plus R, so I'm just going to put a B here, to the X. Well, I know an X and a Y. I know it's 92.9 after 6 clicks, right? So I'm going to divide by 88.7. And I think I can do this part on my calculator. So 92.9 divided by 88.7, that's 1.0474, b to the 6th. So now I'm going to take this to the 1/6 power. And this is where my calculator was being weird. 1 divided by 6. So my answer, it did it right. Good. B equals 1.0077. Okay, so my equation would be 88.7 times 1.0077 to the X. So now on the next part, now you're wanting to find when it gets to 106.3. 106.3 equals 88.7 times 1.0077 to the X. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to take 106.3 divided by 88.7. And I get when I divide, 1.1984 equals 1.0077 to the X. So now I have to log that. That's going to be the log base 1.0077 of 1.1984. So log 1.0077 of 1.1984. 1.1984. And the answer is 23.59 clicks. Okay, and so this is when I'm on this question, it's not something like people that you deal with. A lot of you don't deal with an old radio. But when you look at this, it's saying how many clicks would it get there? So you're going to click it, and then you're going to have to go a little bit past. And so it really is only going to be 23 clicks because it's going to be 23 and a little bit more. So even if that would have come out as 23.999, you've only heard 23 clicks, and then you have to keep turning it. Okay, and so I would not take off on the rounding piece of this because it's not like you've dealt with old radios on the daily, but it really, the answer is just 23 clicks. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a minute to look at this one and try to solve it. Go. Pause. Try it. Okay, the reason why this one is so difficult, the answer on this is 9.4178. And I don't even think days, where T is in days. Okay? Now, here's the reason why if you struggled, you're like, but it doesn't give us a starting value. Can't you make that starting value anything you want? So I like to make mine 100. That is what I do. Okay? Which means if I'm doing half-life, that's going to make it 50. I divide both sides by 100 and I get 0.5. This is where a lot of you maybe jumped right to this step because we have talked about that. So I'm going to do the ln. I'm going to just write what I'm all doing here. Negative 0.0736t and divide by that. Okay. So on my calculator, I'm going to open this puppy up and try to get this to work. So I'm doing 0.5, I'm doing the ln of that, and then I'm dividing by 0.0736 negative. And so my answer is time is 9.4178 days. Okay? So you could have made it whatever. You could have made this, we talked about this the other day. You could have made this a 10, which would have made this a 5. When you divide by 10, you still get 0.5. So when you're doing half-life and doubling time, it really doesn't matter what you make the starting value because you're always going to divide. Okay, so that is the test in a nutshell. I would look back through that and make sure you understand. I will be back tomorrow to proctor the test, but I am not going over any questions on this beforehand. We've done lots of review. You should be more than fine.